it with you. I don't know if I'll have time today, but maybe if not today, then tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Well, in the meantime, what is your suggestion again? Maybe we can just put that up and then see if we can. The thing is, we can still configure the SSL if you want later on, but in the meantime, we can have it without SSL. So what you suggesting?
I think that the only way it's really going to work
Yeah.
is if the sites we're proxying can
Mm-hmm.
be aware of the fact that they're proxied, meaning that you can set the base URL for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I tried to do that actually. It was a bit painful. I couldn't find the place where they're doing that in the hub. Maybe I didn't look hard enough, but it wasn't very straightforward thing to
so
do.
it wasn't in that Etsy configuration.
In what?
The Etsy configuration. I one of the emails I sent early on was about trying to set the base URL for Hub Zero. They have a configuration file under Etsy,
Oh, there. Okay. I didn't. Okay.
and
I,
it names the URL. I don't know if that will affect the whole product, but it looked possible.
yeah, it seems like what it seems when I was investigating this, it seems like it is doing that actually dynamically because when you change the URL in the Nginx configurations, that is what is being reflected in the Hub0's URLs in the web page. So I
Yeah, no,
didn't.
this is not in Nginx. This was actually telling Hub Zero, here's where you're being hosted, which was in like an Etsy Hub Zero file.
No, you are not listening to me, Bart. What I'm saying is, yeah, I get that, but when you are loading the page in the web browser, when you look at the base URL, there is this tag HTML tag called base. When you look at the base, it is actually changing depending on what you're putting in Nginx prox configurations. So
Okay.
whatever name you put there, that's what it appears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it seems like it is getting that from the location header, and then just take it and put it there. But the thing is, I think if it is not configured with SSL, it is going to put HTTP by default. So basically, I was looking in the wrong places. I was looking in the app directories themselves in the files, and I didn't find anything. I was like, okay, what's going on here? So if it is in the etc hub zero configuration, then I think if I change that, I hope if I change that, it should work. I'll try to do that today.
Yeah. It looked like it was just a setting for URL that was specifying the base.
Okay, that's great then. I'll take a look at that. Well, if that doesn't work, then I guess we're gonna have to just make it uh, the plain HTTP.
Yeah. In which case, we probably should have Hub Zero Ampath or KE behind the firewall.
In which case, Anne couldn't access it, which is not what we want. Another problem there.
I don't think so, because she just needs to be able to install her stuff.
Yeah, but she needs
Yeah.
to test the stuff. I mean, she needs to go to the URI and see if it works, doesn't she?
I mean,
Yeah. Before we have anything on it, she could access it. We don't have to block the firewall. She could set it up. Once we want to put any patient data on it, we would block it, and she could still get to it but she'd have to do an SSH proxy.
the problem though, Burke, is that eventually we want to make this available to the sites which may or may not be on the WAN.
Yeah, what I think we are trying what I'm trying to say here is we can have that configuration working and give Anne time to do whatever she wants. In the meantime, I'll be looking into the solution of how to fix that so that it can work with the SSL. It's not like we're going to have, that's not permanent. It's kind of just temporary fix.
Okay.
Yeah. So is that okay? With everybody?
We can work without SL. We can work with air. Can't we work with error, like the warning messages, as a temporary?
With warning messages. No, actually, it doesn't really give you a warning message. You know, it's like it's not loading those the CSS and JavaScript files, and you don't get the warning unless you. It's not very. What I'm trying to say is it's not very. It's not apparent. It's not straightforward. So the browser doesn't really. I mean, unless you're an expert, you know what's going on, then you can just go and click and say, oh, okay, you can load the stuff that is coming unsecured, and then you can click, okay, load the things. Mark is gone. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, did you get one?
I was just saying, I know Chrome, if you're using Chrome, it'll have that shield in the corner, and you have to say load unsaved content, and then it will load it.
Yeah. So that's not very obvious, I think.
And anyway, why don't? It seems like we're deciding whether it's possible for Anne to have access to this thing versus one way or another. Either way, well, you're going to keep working on the current, getting it working the way that we want it to work. You know, she's not available from her email for 2.5 more weeks. 21st is what she wrote, I believe. So why don't you continue doing what you're doing, and then as it gets closer, we'll make a decision to a plan B in the event that she's ready before we are.
Yeah, I guess I was just trying to come up with a contingent plan, you know, a plan B. Yeah. It's not like I'm going to stop.
Yeah. So why don't we? I think it's a good idea. I'm just saying, why don't we wait a little bit longer before we start worrying about plan B?
Is there a community around Hub Zero? Is there a mailing list or a place where people can ask questions that we could just ask? How do you set up? You know, if you want to set up Hub Zero in a subfolder or in a at a different URL, you know, if you're proxying it, is there what's the proper way to configure it?
Yeah, there is a community, but it seems to be a very tight community, because the last time when I tried to communicate with them, the protocol procedure was a bit cumbersome and complicated. It's like discouraging you to communicate. I don't know, maybe I went the wrong way, but that's the impression I got. So we could try.
Oh, you're saying that you couldn't. Are you saying that you reached them and they gave you an answer that was complicated, or you're saying trying to reach them was complicated?
Yeah, trying to reach them was complicated.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, but I think, Mark, this is not really the Hub Zero thing. It's more like a proxying. It's more appropriate for things like a proxying using Nginx or Apache or stuff like that, isn't it? It's not peculiar to Hub Zero, is it?
I think things are easier if the application itself can know that it has a different URL than it thinks it has. It's very common for applications. I know like for example, with Atlassian products, with Jira and Confluence, in the application itself, you can say, here's your base URL, in which case you can tell it, even though you're serving up to localhost, you should behave as if you're at https wiki.ampath.org. So all the links inside the content are all pointing to to that URL.
Okay, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think we can try to reach them about that. I'll try again. I mean, last time I was discouraged, but, well, I'll try one other time. All right, that is done, I guess. Okay, Simon, is Alphayo back? Because, is he back?
Yes, I've been listening. Yeah, for the HTML form entry, the main challenge has been the handling of the drugs. I have basically maybe back. I hope you are still here, so maybe you could also help. I will explain the issue. I don't know whether you may not have had a chance to look at maybe what we've been discussing. But basically, when handling the drugs, we want a situation where we should, where a user is submitting a drug of the same, having the same concept, but with different formulations. Like maybe you have a drug with 250 mg, another drug of 500 mg. We want to store this value in the database such that you are able to differentiate between the various drugs that was selected by the user on the interface. At the moment, we are only able to submit when you submit, it only stores the concept ID, like 1088, and the value that you put there. There is no way you can differentiate.
That's true. That surprises me because PIH, who create and oversee form entry, I believe, use the drug table and order drugs. It really surprises me that HTML form entry wouldn't let you pick a drug. They've like Mark just confirmed that they don't have that function.
From what I heard from Darius, from the email that we received a forward from Darius, seems like may not be there or not. I'm not so sure. But what I see in the most recent version, they use the concept answer drug attribute, which is supposed to work, but it's not working. And I was just trying to look around. What are some of the other ways? I couldn't see anything that really can help us achieve that. From the discussions I've gone through, it seems like they went to the drug order seems to be working very fine, but what I'm not understanding is how they will be handling the normal drugs, like whether you are able to submit a value to the value drug of the ops table. That's what we want to at least achieve.
Oh, is there? Okay. So there's a value drug. I didn't even know we had a value drug.
Yeah, normally in the ops table we have the value drug, such that if you have a drug with the same concept but it has different drug IDs.
Yeah. So we actually, I knew we had value date, value numeric, value text. I didn't realize that we had value drug to allow drug formulations to be an answer. Okay. So this seems like something that Ampath, this isn't something that Ampath needs to do their own fix for. This is something that either is a feature in HTML form entry, it's a missing feature in HTML form entry, or it's a bug in a feature in HTML form entry.
Mark?
Yeah?
And Alpha, I think reading from what Darius has posted on that thread, it seems like the answer drag is supposed to be doing what we want it to do in the HTML form entry. Now, if it is not doing that, it seems to me it's more like a bug, which should be reported, and I think it should be fixed.
Yeah. And we can work to fix it with guidance from Mark and Darius.
Yeah, that's my thinking. Exactly. So, Alpha,
so we're trying to ask a question where we want to be able to answer with a specific drug formulation. That's the situation.
Yes, we want that.
Okay.
So, Alpha.
Yes.
Yeah, I think yesterday when we discussed about this, the last we agreed that you were gonna. I think you are going to look at this and then see what kind of problems you're facing. Did you have the chance to do that?
No, today I haven't. Basically, today I wanted to train the FCT on the validation, but I thought maybe I hadn't finished what I was doing, so I spent it. I thought I would finish early, but I spent the time I couldn't finish until now. So I was thinking maybe I wanted just to finish this validation so that I give them, then I can also start looking at the value of the drugs. Because I was trying, you handle this half, you go to this. I didn't think it's a good approach. So I just thought maybe today I finish this issue of validations, what I want to do, and then I hand it over to them.
Okay. Yeah, so going forward with this, I think the best way is for us to see what kind of errors we're getting with this answer drag, and then creating a ticket and describe exactly the challenges we're facing with the stack trace. And then
So
yeah.
Basically for that, from the documentation, when you put that attribute, it's supposed to create like an autocomplete box where you are able to search for the drugs and select. So the first phase is not working because when you put that attribute, it doesn't provide that. So given that the documentation on the module actually refers to various compatibility, or maybe we say this works in this version. So maybe when it was not working, I thought maybe it's not for the version of MRS that we have, OpenMRS that we have, but it's not throwing any error when you have that tag on the module. So the next thing was just to probably track the changes, maybe debug, so that you see what would be the problem, where it's supposed to be, where it's supposed to go in, and why it's not going in.
Yeah, so I think, like I said before, since from the Darius's explanation of this answer drag thing, seems like it is supposed to be doing what you want it to do. So let's work on that and then see how we can work with either Darius or Mark and see if we can fix it, make it work for our forms.
Alfio, what form is this for that you're working on?
I was just improving the adult return because I thought from the demonstration it wasn't very well done. So
Yeah.
I've put in the comment that you had raised. I've actually done most of the questions up to number 24.
Okay.
The 24, I was just having a few issues here and there. Maybe the documentation on the validation is not very clear. That's what I wanted to confirm with the other guys. Otherwise, while that is working, I've also shared with Petronilla how we are doing it, so she's able to pick up some of the things and she can start doing it.
Okay.
So once I finish the improving on what we had agreed on, I can quickly do the other forms.
Okay, because I'd really like, this question is not it's not something to stop us from moving forward with the testing with the data entry team. I think the question is about what other drugs are being prescribed. Do you remember what the question is?
The question is, partly we should, the question is, first, from what we discussed, there are two issues here. Number one.
No. What's the question on the form that you're trying, that this is supposed to answer?
The drugs, the issue of the drugs. The issue of the drugs is supposed to answer a situation whereby a patient is actually given the same drug with the different formulations. But from discussion with Petronilla, we were thinking maybe it may not be even feasible. We might be spending time on something that may not be really.
But Alfio, I need you to tell me exactly. I don't have the form in front of me. What's the sentence on the form?
Okay, maybe on that form, I haven't actually looked at on this. We are sharing issues that are arising even from other forms. So I discussed this issue with Petronilla, and I was just trying to figure out the solution without actually relating to any specific question on the form. So that question is supposed to be in the next form, the pediatric form here. I think the issue that we are discussing.
Let's get the return visit form working for adults first.
Yeah, I can understand how that's helpful. I mean, I know they're working on 4 forms at the same time, all the follow-up forms, but what I don't want you to do is spend too much time trying to figure out this question, because if it's the question, I think the question is not about ARVs, it's about non-ARV drugs. Do you know if that's right, or you don't know?
I don't know, but I don't know because one of the
Because
things that even what is also affecting the current form is when you are doing a drop down and you are searching for drugs, you want to, when you search for drug that has different formulations, you'll only see one item in the drop down list.
uh-huh.
So that means if a user is supposed to pick maybe MVP, whatever, 200 mg, you will not be
Yeah.
able to do that. You
Yeah,
only see.
that's just doing a concept search instead of a drug search.
So
Okay.
I read about that.
Look,
One.
this is, FYI, I think this is being too abstract. I haven't seen the thread that I'm not included on that. But if you can, one, identify what the exact question on the form is that you're trying to answer, and then to write the HTML tags that you think are being used to do the drug lookup, and then email that out. At least if it's already been emailed out, send it to me as well. Then I think we can help. But this is too abstract right now. Is that
Okay,
okay?
that's okay.
Okay. Will, is there another issue? Because I needed to discuss something that I saw in a thread from Kenny. If
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry, there's just one thing from. It's not really a big deal, but I just want you guys to be aware that the team in India is going to start development on the SMS gateway. They're going to use Node.js and MongoDB, and they've already produced the API specification document. I think you have received the email, so you can take a look at that and give your feedback accordingly. Thank you.
okay, I guess I don't know what that means. Does that mean that that SMSs between patients and the system will not be recorded in OpenMRS?
Well, so you remember when we had this discussion about the implementation of SMS gateway?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically all the messages sent will be recorded in this SMS gateway database, which will be implemented using MongoDB.
Yeah, Jonathan, the intent was to create, because we have like radiology, other systems outside AMRS that are want to be able to text people, and the
Yeah.
idea was let's just create a gateway where whether it's AMRS or it's some other application wanting to be able to send out SMS messages. Let's just create an easy way to be able to just call a REST service and say, here's the message that needs to get sent and who it needs to go to.
Okay.
So the intent was just to solve that one problem of giving us an abstract layer, something that we can safely use that would wrap around any commercial texting system, so that we don't have the radiology writing something for Safaricom, and then we decide as an institution we want to switch to some other service, and all the code has to get rewritten.
Okay. Okay. And have you guys reviewed the model that they're using to represent the message?
No, I haven't. This is the first I've heard that they were moving forward with it. So I haven't seen any of the emails.
I mean, having had experience with this myself, and I used Twilio, but just trying to imagine what this project is, but I feel like it's like 100 lines of code. Am I not thinking of something here?
Yeah, no, it should be a relatively straightforward. The idea was we could just direct them and then let them do the work, and we don't have to worry about the work.
Okay.
So initially we weren't even going to bother doing it. But when it first came up, it was like, this isn't a priority. Apparently, they decided they're going to move forward with it. So I think all we need to do is talk with them enough that whatever they create will be useful to us.
You think it's a good idea to do this in Node?
Sorry, I was stuck in mute. I actually recommended Node because I thought it would be 25 lines of Node instead of 100 lines of something else.
Okay. And where's this going to sit?
I'm sorry, you said where is it going to sit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would probably be just on its own server or wherever we need it to be.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, when that conversation came up about us wanting to be able to send out text messages and we wanted to build some tool, it was like, guys, this is probably, we want to be able to have the auditing. So there are some other things that we want, but it's not complicated. And rather than binding it into AMRS or into the radiology system or something like that, it was like, let's just, we could make a small little app that would serve this need. But then the conversation turned toward, well, do we really need to be spending time on this because it's not a priority? And so I think they probably went and found this other group to work on it. So all that we need to really expend on it should be looking at their model and saying, hey, we want this feature or that feature, or we want it to have this capability. We can just look at it as they're giving us a free application. I don't know who, maybe Martin or some other project is paying for this and pushing it forward, but we just need to make sure that if they're going to work on it, we just spend enough time on it to say, oh, okay, yeah, we we just want to be able to look at it and say, here's what the REST calls will look like, and the features that it'll have. And frankly, I only care how they're modeling it to the extent that it will, be able to support the features we want.
And so phone number, I guess, is going to end up being the identifier.
Yeah, I think thinking that you'll, it'd be a nice feature add to be able to say, here's a patient identifier and have it send it, but you get into this kind of messiness of not knowing whether that person had a phone number available. So I think we were aiming at the lower level.
Okay, that sounds fun.
But so some of the other features we talked about were like having apps, like AMRS would have a token or some some secret that it used to send messages out, and the radiology system might have one, and the next system might have one, so that you would know which system was sending it out. And it was just we were requiring that whatever system is sending something out would say, both for the user and who it's getting sent to, say, here's an identifier, especially for whoever's sending out the message. Here's the identifier that within my system I can uniquely identify, who the sender is. So not trying to pool all the knowledge of all our user base in one place, but rather say any app that's going to send on behalf of users will call this service and we'll say, this is user 1234. For AMRS, we'd probably just send the user the user's UUID or something like that.
Okay.
JJ,
Yeah.
If you're looking at the chat window, I've pasted a link to the specification that is currently our roadmap for that SMS gateway application.
Yeah.
And we are going to be having the 30 minutes call every Thursday in the morning, 7 a.m. EST, 7 a.m. EST, which will be 8 a.m. EDT, beginning from next week, every Thursday for this particular application. So if you're interested to join, yeah, you can join and throw your ideas there.
Okay.
Yeah. And everybody else, by the way.
Okay. All right. Can I just have a question to move on to about Kenny sent an email. There was an email exchange that I was added to about adding new rules to the decision support system. Alfaio, have you been contacted about this, or has anybody been contacted about this?
It looked like the stuff that probably Win was doing before he left.
No, I think this is in the past few weeks.
Yeah. This
Well,
is
no, I mean, I'm saying that the decision support stuff looked like stuff Win was doing. I realized he wasn't being asked to do this new stuff.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
JJ, actually, Win has been working on the same, but what you saw, I don't know if it's over email on the wiki. It's something I'm trying to work on. There's a change on the rules, and I'm looking at it, and I shall be working with Win whenever I need guidance. So far there were some reminders that Win did remove yesterday,
Okay.
and today and moving forward I should be working on modifying some of the rules here.
Okay. Is there a ticket for this?
Yes, I think Ada created a ticket.
Okay.
Maybe I should look for it and then send it to you over email.
Yeah.
It's not so much that I'm worried about the work with the actual changes. I just want to make sure that I want us to avoid having new projects come in that are not being documented on Jira. So as long as it's being followed there, that's what's important to me. And and I would like to be a watcher on it.
Yeah, and this is something that would probably, looking at that document would be an epic of, get this set of changes done for CDS, and then you just make tickets for the various. I mean, it's a lot of work to put in one ticket. I think creating tickets that say, do a bunch of work are better than not having any ticket, but it'd be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can just visit the link I've pasted over there. I think that is the link where we have some documentation about the work to be done.
I'll take a look. I'm only using my phone right now, so I can't see these things. But thanks, Simon.
Okay.
I just, in general, we should be in the habit of not doing any work that's not ticketed, with some exceptions for very small things. But that's the thing that I just want to make sure is the case. Willa, is there anything else on the agenda? Because I wouldn't mind opening it up to a discussion on the REST web services things that you and I were talking about earlier.
Sorry, guys, I was on mute. Alpha, what did you want to talk about access to servers? There's something you've written on the wiki saying access to servers. I'm not sure what that means.
Because I saw in your chat, it seems like you're still having problems, so I just wanted to know whether it's done or I need to follow up again. That was just to find out from you whether you are now able to access.
The server actually is not accessible via the public URL. I don't know why. I can access it using the SSH tunnel, which is fine with me, but I don't know about other people, so that is the status.
Okay. I'll also, maybe we didn't have, so did you also talk to Victor or you could not?
I was talking to Miencha actually. He says that the server should be accessible, but I can't access it. When I use tunneling, I can, but when I use the public URL, I can't. So,
Okay, I'll try it. I'll try that one here as well, because we are so used to using the local. So I'll try at least to figure out whether there is also a problem from this end.
okay. Yeah, Jonathan, you can go ahead with the subject, I think.
Oh, sure. Burke, Will, and I were chatting earlier about the REST Web Services module, and then a more general approach that where the way that I kind of see the module is it's recreating a REST Web Services framework. And I just wondered if OpenMRS community has at all investigated, using a pre-existing framework to do REST Web Services rather than trying to build it from scratch, which is kind of how I am interpreting things.
Yeah, the common, the primary goal of the REST Web Services module was to expose the API in as REST resources, and then also to try to provide that extensibility so that other modules could mimic or extend and add other resources to those web services. So, I think the frameworks you're talking about are the kind where you're, like in Django, you list off the objects you want, and then it creates. It's kind of like Grails or Ruby, where it creates the database tables for you, and then just creates exposes those resources in a standard way. Is that what you're talking about? Where you name, here's the pieces I want.
Yeah, exactly. Just because, I think that, there's a lot of different ways that OpenMRS will proceed, but from my perspective of trying to just develop resources and then have a separate UI that's, either embedded or not in the module, but it's at least using the resources, it would be nice to be able to have like a command where you just say, make module tables are this, like make all my Hibernate stuff and my services, like, because I don't want to have to write those things. All I need is generic stuff, and then I can add in where I need more complex interactions.
Yeah, that's where we head. That's the archetype we have, but also the model and the SDK to try to make that. But that was.
Burke, I'm not sure if it's just me, but you're breaking up pretty heavily.
Still breaking up, back.
We can't hear you.
I think he has a connection problem.
I'm walking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Sure.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I feel like a commercial. Yeah, I think that's the direction that we intend to go with OpenMRS. I mean, we have a Maven archetype that allows you to script out building a module, but that was done before the REST module was created, or coincident, and then the SDK to try to make it easy to get up and running. And I think the vision for those was to get to that point where you could say, not just here, initially it started with
I guess Burke is gone.
Yeah, I hope he'll be back. He'll be back. Burke will be back.
What I want him to comment on is just how much work it would be to make this archetype, because it's not just an archetype, because the way that I see the way Maven works right now is the code already exists, right? all it's doing is like pulling all of the stuff that you need, and then has this project structure.
Yeah.
But in this case, it would take an input, like a table definition, and then output the module to handle that resource.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it will be a lot more work because now you have to see, because I think just generating the project structure is a lot easier than creating, those
And
other.
also, like, you could imagine that you wouldn't, some modules might want to create multiple tables that have relationships between them.
Yeah.
And that case would have to be handled as well.
Yeah, so you can see how complicated it gets as things get more complicated, right?
Well, I don't know, because if you look at the way that the REST stuff works right now, is that basically it just calls on services to like you create an attributes in these REST objects based on things that are in the I don't know what the word is, because I've been trying to understand this as I was working through the module myself today. But like whenever you create a module, you get this like when I created the basic module, it creates this file, basic module, or sorry, it was called basic example. So basic example.java, and then that thing seemed to like be representing this like class of just like stuff for the module. And I don't know what you call that thing. It's just an object. But then that object ends up being, what it looks like to me is you create this object, right? Then you create a Hibernate like DAO that basically uses that object to populate responses from the database. And then on the server.
Yeah. So you are talking about the entities. We call those entities, right? The plain Java object. Is that what you are? Yeah. Yeah.
Hey there.
Why is Mark joining with Ampath IT? Okay.
Oh, sorry, I must be logged in as the wrong person.
It's all right.
Sorry, Burke, we lost you a little while back.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was when I was giving my answer to everything, and I had my phone in my pocket and my Bluetooth headset on, and I explained everything, and then realized I had been disconnected.
Is it recorded in the Bluetooth device, maybe?
Give us version 2.0.
So the intent for where we were headed was exactly what you're saying, from an ease of use standpoint, in terms of just we created an archetype, a Maven archetype, to create a module. Being able to answer some questions and have it just create the module. We had the basics of that. We were headed toward answering, creating questions that ask, what services you want, and would start to create those services for you. But that was all kind of in a pre or kind of early as REST web services were coming to be. So I think the notion of that getting extended to be able to say, I want these REST resources, and to blow those out is where we will, where the community will go with the building out modules in OpenMRS. That said, you want the server to be more than just a CRUD operations and a data store. You want it to be applying the business of, you don't want to just have it. There are some cases where you just want it to store the data, but a lot of time you want it to be doing business logic. You don't want to be deciding in your Angular. You don't want your Angular code deciding, are duplicate drugs allowed in an order entry, or are when you admit a patient, what should happen. You don't want to be doing that logic in Angular.
No, I agree. It would just be, I'm getting more familiar. Willa was helping me install IntelliJ IDEA today, and I
Cool.
can you guys hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard you for a little bit, then you dropped off.
Oh, so I was just saying that it seems like it's probably a day of work to kind of probably build your resources and all the getters and setters and the DAOs and all that. So having this type of like archetype would save you that day.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
But it's more just like the kind of key thing that I see is that it's, a day is enough time that, like, let's say you just want to be rapidly like prototyping something. Like, say we have an idea for a new resource like cohort observations, something like that. I mean, that's a little bit complicated, but you could imagine that if you wanted to just get something going and playing with it, it would be nice to not have to make this decision of, do we want to spend, a day developing the resources. But I guess this is more theoretical right now. Than anything else. But do you think, Burke, that it's a lot of work to kind of, because in this case, this archetype is not just going to be kind of copying stuff, but it is going to have to take a definition of like resources and then make the components to make them RESTful.
Yeah, and that, building out, I think you're talking about, ideally what you'd be building out is the skeleton of just exposing, creating I assume like a table per resource, and and then exposing the CRUD operations against that.
Yeah.
Ideally in a way that would be easy to go and tweak and add the business logic
Right.
around it. And yeah, so I believe the way the archetype works is that it's basically just some Java code. It's a Maven plugin that's written, was written for the community.
Yeah.
So
You think?
it's programmable.
You think we should try and make this a GOC if it's not too late?
Yeah, making a GSOC, that would that would make. I think that would be a great ad. To say let's make the archetype that we have, show, kind of help people get REST working, and kind of show best practices in terms of exposing things via REST.
Yeah. I think that would be an amazing contribution if it was done well.
Yeah. The other GSOC project that I want to define, I haven't defined yet, is I want to make try to make one to add whatever it's called. I'm blanking on the name of it, but the REST documentation, kind of the self documentation stuff, where you should be able to go inside your into AMRS or into any OpenMRS instance that's running REST and see the API and be able to test it and have it well documented.
Okay.
That tooling.
Yeah. I gotta go. I apologize. But welcome back, Burke.
Yeah, I got a big pile to dig out of, but yeah, it's good to be back.
We insist that you do no more service for the remainder of the year.
That's good. I was excited. Not only did I finish service, but I finally got recertified. Finished my maintenance certification, so I'm a real doctor again.
Congratulations.
Cool. Congratulations. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. I got to run. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Time is up anyway. So, Buck, are we going to have some kind of party or something celebration?
What, a Burke is back party?
No, the Buck is again, a real doctor's party.
Bert got board certified again.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I don't think it may be a pretty boring party. But.
Why? It will be fun. Trust me, I'll be there, and you will be there. Should be fun.
All right, cool.
Okay, bye guys.
All right, talk to you soon.
Yeah.